What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of On the Card presented by TRHS Sports. We are up to episode number 15, and we're doing pretty good right now. We're still hanging in there. I took a day off yesterday just to kind of regather my bearings there. It was a little bit of a rough 2-day stretch where we really weren't hitting much. We are going to have a chance of the Canucks future tonight, so that could be pretty nice if we can land that one. But in terms of like what was going on with the NBA, what was going on with the NHL, I kind of wanted to just sit back, see what was happening, and go from there. The NHL is really getting down to it. There's only 2 game series left. The Islanders wrapped it up last night, as did the Dallas Stars. If you follow me on my website, betonphilwood.com, I have an article that I wrote that's coming out today. It's actually already out now. But if you followed my website and you have bet every single thing I've told you to bet on the website, series winners, whatever I've told you, you are seriously right now plus so much money. It's insane. Over there, we're 19 games above 500. And I understand that some of those are easy bets, the Avalanche, the Lightning to win their series, all of that. But we also hit the Islanders. We just hit the Stars. And not only did we hit the Stars, we just hit the Dallas Stars at plus 525. Plus 525 to win their series 4-2. That's amazing. That is amazing. I'm 3-4 on series props over there right now. I'm 6-1 or 5-1 on series winners. If the Flyers and the Canucks both wrap it up tonight, I go 7-1 on series winners. And I'll have gone 3-5 on props strictly because I can't get the Canucks series to go to 7 games. Just something to think about. Go over to betonphilwood.com. You should be checking it out all the time. It's worth your while. It's similar to the bets you're seeing here. I tend to do a little bit less betting over there, which is probably why my record is a little bit better. But today I got a slate of 5. That's it. I have 3 over on the website. 3 of them are going to appear right here today. But I have 5 bets. I was really liking the Yankees against the Mets, and the game ended up getting delayed because of COVID. Somebody for the Mets tested positive, but I was really liking the Yankees there. The Yankees are absolutely freezing cold. So I had to take off their over and their money line, which sucked, but I was able to find 2 more bets that I really like for the MLB. So I'll go ahead and I'll start there. I'm looking at the White Sox and the Cubs. They're both teams going at it from Chicago here. It's going to be a good one. This is going to be a good game. It's on at 8:15, 5:15 here on the West Coast. I'm really, really looking forward to how this one is going to play out. I don't really know who's going to win. The White Sox have looked better of late. You have Dallas Keuchel and John Lester on the mound. I think that's awesome. I'm really excited for this pitching matchup. I think that'll be a lot of fun. I'm surprised that the first 5 is as high as it is. Now, I know Lester didn't have a great performance in his last outing. Keuchel's given up runs for the most part this season. But the first 5 run line is at 5.5, and that just feels way too high to me for 2 great pitchers on the mound. I know the White Sox have been home run machines, but I think Lester had his bad game. I think it's out of his system. He bounces back with a really good performance against a really good offense, and I like the White Sox and the Cubs under 5.5 runs for the first 5 innings. The other game I have is the Rockies versus the Dodgers. We got John Gray taking on Walker Buehler. And this is another one, like the pitching matchup isn't a bad pitching matchup. It's a good pitching matchup, but it's not a great pitching matchup. You know, like it's one that really could go either way. But what I like here is both of these guys tend to give up runs. I mean, that's just the way it is. Both offenses have been pretty good. And I wish this game were being played in Colorado. I'd feel a lot more comfortable taking the over. But I'm still going to go ahead and I'm going to take the over for the first 5 innings here as well. Over 4.5 runs with John Gray versus Walker Buehler on the mound. I like them both to get it done and or to not get it done. And if you look up Walker Buehler, and I had his stats in front of me, and now I'm going to pull up my my handy dandy intern here. He's given up runs. He's given up 11 earned runs in 19 innings pitched this season. He's got a 5.21 ERA. He's going against a Colorado team that does score. So I think that we're going to see Colorado get some hits and everything like that and get some people on base and put up enough runs. And then I like the Dodgers offense to really hit John Gray. John Gray hasn't been great this season by any means. In his last game, he gave up 3 earned runs in 7 innings, which is really good. But the game before that against the Diamondbacks, he gave up 8 earned runs in just 3.1 innings, gave up 3 earned runs in just 6 innings to the Giants. His ERA is up there at like 5.74. I don't know. I don't like them to both be able to keep this super low. I think this game is destined to go over. That's just what I'm thinking right now. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take LAD, the Dodgers, and Colorado Rockies first 5 over 4.5 runs. Or yeah, it's only at 4.5. So that's what's funny is like I would have expected the Dodgers, Colorado to be at 5.5, Chicago to be at 4.5, but it's the opposite. So I'm gonna put both of those on the card, and those are my 2 MLB plays for the day. I'm going to go to the NBA now, and the NBA is so frustrating for me right now because if you paid attention, every bet that I made the first day, everything I told you to do, Lakers -6, Michael Porter Jr. over 17.5, Nets under 106.5. None of those things happened in game 1. In game 2, they were locks from the start, and it's really frustrating when that type of thing happens when you place a bet on it early. I've been saying it all along, and I'm so sick and tired of these experts, these professionals who are saying that the Blazers are going to win the series in 5, win the series in 6. The Blazers aren't going to win that series. And if you watched that first game and thought that game was won because the Blazers looked really good and the Lakers looked really bad, I got a LASIK surgeon that I could get you because it was ridiculous. The Blazers are not good right now. They're not. They haven't been good the entire bubble. The Lakers just had nothing to play for, and we saw yesterday what can happen when the Lakers actually start to play the game, when they start to play. Now, if the Lakers move on and play the Rockets, I think the Rockets have a really good chance of beating them because the Rockets have looked really good, and the Rockets play much better defense than the Blazers. The Blazers scored 88 points. The high-powered Portland Trailblazers, and don't tell me, oh, Dame got hurt. They had 52 points when Dame went out of the game. They were halfway through the third quarter, and Dame got hurt. So, no, that's not the reason. They looked terrible because they're not that good because the Lakers are just a way better team. And it's frustrating. Like yesterday, if I would have done it, Lakers -6 would have been a bet. Houston money line at -130 would have been a bet. Hey, I didn't come in for a reason. I wanted to see if I could sit down and just watch the games and I wrote down what my best bets for yesterday would have been had I come on this podcast, and I would have hit them. My website, betonphilwood.com, had one bet. It was the Cleveland Indians to win the first 3 innings at -106, and they won the first 3 innings, 1-0. Just saying. So we're not doing too bad. Look, today's going to be an interesting day. I have the Brooklyn Nets versus Toronto Raptors. I have the Brooklyn Nets over for their first half, over 52.5 points. And I want to make sure this line hasn't moved, and I want to make sure it's still just 52.5. But I have them over 52.5 points. Look, I like them to get it done here. I really do. And I don't know if that's crazy, but they had 53 in their last game. They had 51 in the first game. They need to win this game, and that's going to be the mantra here. I'm betting against the teams up 2-0. And in this one, I still think the Raptors probably win the game because they are much better than the Nets. But if the Nets want any chance in this series, they need to come out hot. Look at what happened to the Calgary Flames yesterday. Came out to a 3-0 lead. Should have taken the first period. I know I had tried to do this with the Washington Capitals back when they were playing the Islanders in game 4 and they were down 3-0. They ended up losing the first period and then coming back and dominating the second and third. But I really, really, really like this game. And I really like the Nets to go over 52.5 in the first half. They don't have a choice. If they want to be playing, if they want to have any chance in the second half, they want to have any chance to even steal one game from the Raptors, which we need for a future bet over on my website. I like the Nets here. I like them going over 52.5 points in the first half, and I'm going to put that on the card. If I keep going through this for the NBA, I only have one other NBA bet, but I'm going to look here. We have the Denver Nuggets versus the Utah Jazz. Actually, man, it's so hard. It's so hard. This one's tough, man. This one is so tough. The Jazz looked way better than the Nuggets last game, but this line just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and now it's essentially a pick 'em. Oh my gosh. I feel like my play has to be on the Nuggets here. And I know that people are going to be like, well, the Jazz looked better than them in both of their games. I think something that happens, and we see this happen in college basketball a lot, maybe not so much the pros. We do see it happen in college a lot. We see it happen in the NFL. A team will be really, really good, and they'll get into these scary games, and they'll keep winning. They'll keep finding a way to win. And then finally, they lose one because it's happening too much now. And then that's when they start to play a lot better because they lost. They actually finally lost. Curious to see how the Clippers bounce back, but that could be something that happens too. But I think the Nuggets are still the better team than the Jazz. The Jazz shot lights out in their last game. Lights out. Is that going to happen again? I don't think so. I mean, the Nuggets played not good, and the Jazz played about as good as they're probably going to play in this entire thing. So I know that in both games, Utah's looked like they outmatched the Nuggets. That's for sure. But I still think the Nuggets are the better team if they can just get it all together. And I think a loss like that actually helps. And this is, to me, this feels like one of those series where every time a team wins, the other team's going to win the next game, which is going to put Denver up 3-2. And we're going to see where it goes from there. But I'm going to stick with it. And I'm actually going to go ahead because this was at -2.5, -3.5, -4. And now it's all the way down to -1. It's essentially a pick 'em. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the Nuggets at -1. I'm going to do it. So you're actually getting 6 bets today. But I'm going to take Denver -1. I like them to get it done here. I really do. I think they have enough talent to actually get this done. They just need to start to play better defensively. They guard the 3-point line. And the Jazz have been known to be hit or miss. They go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And really, the Jazz have looked good twice in a row now on offense. I don't like them to look good on offense 3 times in a row. That's not the way they play. They're not a 3-game-in-a-row good offensive team. I think Denver makes the adjustments that they need. I think they come out, and I think they win this game. So I'm going to take Denver -1. Okay, my real last bet, though, and this one's going to make people think I'm crazy, but this is what happens when you're trying to find the best bets. I'm taking the 76ers at +5.5. The entire country is on the Boston Celtics -5.5. I'm a Celtics fan. I think the Celtics probably win this game. However, it's exactly what I said about the Nets. If the 76ers want any chance at playing into a game 5, which maybe they don't. If you watch that game, maybe they don't want to play into a game 5. But if they want any chance to play in a game 5, they need to win this game. They need to win this game. Teams don't come back and win from down 3-0. At least if they win this one, they make pretend that there's a chance that they could win the series. I like them to keep it close. They have enough talent. And I think this is a perfect game for the Celtics to overlook them because the Celtics are coming in. They just won a game without Gordon Hayward. Not only did they win it, they demolished them. It was really easy. They had it so simple. And now here they go. They come out, and I think they're going to win this one. Not win this one, but they're definitely going to keep it close. So I'm going to take the 76ers at +5.5 against the Celtics, go against the grain here. It doesn't make sense to me that this line didn't move from the last game, considering how good the Celtics looked against the Sixers. Vegas knows something. Vegas knows everybody's going in and betting on the Celtics right now. This line has moved the whole point. It was at 4.5 to start. What is going on with this? I don't know. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the the Sixers at +5.5, and I'm going to put it on the card. Last NBA game, Clippers Mavericks. I've been off on this series. I thought the Clippers would cover in both games. They haven't covered in either. So I'm going to stay away from this one until I see kind of what happens. Now that the Clippers got punched in the mouth, now that the Clippers lost the game, let's see what they actually come out and they do. Spread's currently at Clippers -5, over under 231.5. So not really sure where I feel on that one, but I'm going to let that one go. Hop over to the NHL. We only got 2 games today. One of them with the Canucks. We already have a bet on. If the Canucks win, we win their series at +165. So I'm going to leave that game alone. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to bet the under on the Flyers and Canadiens game. Under 5 goals. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. If you look at the last game, 9 goals were scored. Yeah, it was a mess of a game. The whole reason that happened is the Canadiens scored 3 minutes in, which hasn't happened all series. The Flyers got a boarding penalty, or the Canadiens got a boarding penalty, and the Flyers went on a 5-minute power play, scored 2 goals on the power play, which they haven't scored power play yet. That made the Canadiens desperate. The Canadiens scored a goal on Carter Hart that literally was from the middle of nowhere. And it bounced off like the back of his skull or something. It made no sense. And the game ends 5-4. Okay, great. It's a high-scoring game. I get it. Or 4-3. It was 4-3, so it was 7 goals. But that's it. I don't trust that again. I'm done with that. No. This is going to go back to the normal series that we'd been seeing before. None of this back and forth stuff. There's not going to be a 5-minute major. The Canadiens aren't going to score 3 minutes in. And this game is going to go under 5 goals. I'm really confident in it. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put that on the card. For the other game, the Blues and the Canucks, I actually kind of like the Blues here. So I'm not going to bet it because if the Canucks win, we do win our our future bet, but I do kind of like the Blues in this one. The Canucks really pushed back last game, and that's what they did in their first series against the Wild too. They never give in, and that's the one thing I like about this Canucks team. Very, very resilient. But I think the Blues are resilient too. I mean, they just won a Stanley Cup last year. I think they pushed this to 7. I think it's going to happen, but I'm not going to bet it, but I do think it's going to happen. I'm already looking at the Stars and the Avalanche moving forward to Monday. So if anybody has any interest in that game's going to be on Monday, August 24th, the first game of that series. The Stars looked amazing last night after they came in on and it was completely destroyed. So I'm just saying, and the Stars are plus 1.5, and I think the Avalanche are actually going to end up dominating that series. William Hance. All right, let's see. He asked, where do I lean on the Mavs Clippers total? I got to pull that one up and look real quick. It's at 231.5. I'm going to go and I'm going to lean under on this one. I'm going to lean under for sure on this one. And the reason being that the Clippers are going to try to play their game here instead of letting the Mavs play their game. The Mavs played the way the Mavs wanted to play last time. And I am just a firm believer that if you look at NBA series over 7 games, you almost will never, ever, ever see a worse team beat a better team in a 7-game series. It almost never happens. And I know game 1 still was like 228, so it was close there. Game 2 was 241, but I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to say I would lean under on this one. I really would, but it's a lean. It's a lean at 231.5. I think the Clippers come out and they force the Mavericks, make them a little frustrated. Not as much as what we saw the Lakers do to the Blazers last night, but they frustrate them enough to keep this one low. But again, it's just a lean. It's not something I would bet, but if you're looking for what I would do here, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking the Clippers play their style of basketball here and they get it done in that game. That's probably the only under I like today, though. I think the Celtics and Sixers is probably going to go over because, like I said, I think the Sixers are actually going to play pretty well in that game. I think Toronto and Brooklyn is going to go over. Those games have gone under pretty much, or they've been close, but I think that one's going to go over. And then I also think Utah and Denver is going to go over, but I'm not going to play any of them because I'm not confident enough to actually sit here and say I'm going to put money on it. So that's what I got for that. But anyway, so that does it for today's episode of On the Card. Just running back through the card one more time. We got the Dodgers, Colorado, first 5 over 4.5 runs. White Sox, Cubs, first 5 under 5.5 runs. NBA, 76ers plus 5.5. Nets, first half over 52.5. Denver, -1. NHL, we got Philadelphia, Montreal, under 5 goals. And if the Canucks win, we're going to hit that series future. Go check me out on betonphilwood.com. I just put out one of the most obnoxious posts you'll read from me because I don't like to be that way, but go ahead and read it because it just talks about how if you've been following me on that website, you've hit a plus 525, a plus 400, and you're currently 19 games above 500. Just saying, there's 3 people listening right now. I wish there were more. A lot more people would be a lot happier with their wallets. So I'm just throwing that out there right now. Make sure to keep checking out my website. It is worth checking out. Also, follow me on Twitter at Phil Wood Jr. You can reach out to me on through DMs. I answer everybody. So just message me if you got any questions about games, if you're looking for any type of parlay, anything like that, let me know. And I will answer. So I will see you tomorrow morning, Saturday morning. I don't think we won't have any NHL games, which will be a shame, but I'll at least come back to talk a little bit about the NBA. And then I might wait until Monday to actually come back again. But anyway, that's all I got for today. 6 bets, and hopefully we can get back on the winning side of things after a couple of rough days. And I'll see you next time on the card.